All right, so now that we've turned our papers over, let's go ahead and get started on the back side of this assignment. So letter C says, Smartway rental cars income, that's the money they make, comes from renting out their cars. How many of each type of car should they purchase if they want to maximize their income? And then what is the maximum income? So what that means is we need to think about how much money they make. And the way that we're going to do that is we're going to go back to our front page and just take a look at this little chart up here. So our chart tells us that a compact car, to rent it, costs $30. So when they rent their cars, they make $30 per compact car. And when they rent their full-size cars, they make $48 for every car they rent. So now that we have that information, we can write over here, rental for X is $30 and rental for Y is $48. So that means for every X, they make $30, and for every Y, they make $48. So we want to know how much money do they make for all of their cars. So if we took the total amount of compact cars, X, and multiplied that by 30, and the total amount of full-size cars, which is Y, multiply that by 48, and then we put them together, that should give us our total amount of money that they make. So that means I could say 30X plus 48Y would give me the total cost. And the way that I'm going to write the total cost is I'm going to write it like this. It's equal to the function of X and Y. Normally we're used to seeing f of x, or the function of x, where we have one value, one variable. But in this situation we have two variables. We have an x and a y, so that's why we write it as the income, I, the function of x and y. So I of x and y, all right? Now, the question is, what do we put in place for x and y to figure out how much money they make? Well, that's when we go back to our graph. Remember our graph, we listed those boundary points, 5, 9, 10, 6, 16, 0, 5, 0. And remember, each of those x and y's represents the number of cars. So to stay within our range, but to be at the farthest distance, like the maximum, we have 5 compacts and 9 full-size cars. That will meet the constraints of our problem, which said that we could only have 16 total cars, and we had to spend only $180,000, and we needed at least 5 compacts. So 5, 9 meets that requirement. 10, 6 does as well. So 5 compacts, 9 full-size meets the constraints. 10 compacts, 6 full-size meets the constraints. 16 compacts and 0 full-size meets the constraints, and 5 compacts, 0 full-size meets the constraints. There's a bunch of others that meet the constraints as well, but they're not going to give us the amount of money. They're not going to tell us the amount of money that, or they're not going to give us the best options. And you'll see what I mean in just a minute. So now we're going to take the 5 and the 9, and that's an x and a y, and we're going to plug it in for the x and y in our new equation, because now we're going to figure out how much money we make. How much money will we make if we have 5 compact cars and 9 full-size cars? So let's do that. So we're going to write I of 5, 9. Okay, so when the function is 5 compacts and 9 full-size, what do we get? So that's going to be equal to 30 times 5 plus 48 times 9. And then we got to figure out what that is, don't we? And but we're going to, before we go ahead and figure those out, we're going to go ahead and write all of them, because we're going to figure out all 4 possible combinations here. So we had 10, 6, right? So we're going to find I of 10, 6. We're going to find I of 16, 0. And we're going to find I of 5, 0. All right? So each time we're going to replace in our equation the x with the x value here. Add to that the price of the full size, and we're going to replace the y with the y value. So you go ahead and finish writing those in, just like I've done right here. So I have 4 equations, and now we just need to figure out what they are. So let me go ahead and see if I can make this a little bit wider so I have some writing room. And we're going to say that this right here is 30 times 5 is 150. We're going to add to that 48 times 9. So 48 times 9 is 432. So we're going to add 150 to 432, and we get 582. So if we have 5 compacts and 9 full size, we'll make $582. All right? Let's do the next one. 30 times 10 is 300. 48 times 6 is 288. And we add those together and we get $588. And the next one, 16 and 0. We have 30 times 16. That's 480. Plus 48 times 0, meaning we don't have any full-size cars. That gives us 480. And then our last one is 30 times 5, which would be 150, plus 48 times 0 is $150. So which one should they do if they want to maximize their income? Well, if they want to make the most money, then they should focus on this right here, shouldn't they? 10 compacts, 6 full size will get them $588. They'll make $588. So 10, 6, and $588. So how many of each type of car should they purchase if they want to maximize their income? They should purchase 10 compacts and 6 full size, and they will make $588. So 5. Oops, sorry, no, it's not. It's a 6. 10, 6, and that's a 0. Okay, so that's how you can use all of these different pieces of information to find the answer to the question that you need. All right, let's go on to question D. Question D says, in order to keep up with their competitors, Smartway must purchase at least 3 full-size cars and at least 5 compact cars. They have to purchase at least 3 full-size cars and at least 5 compact cars. Well, now, let's look at our Desmos and see what it says. Now, in Desmos, we said that when we originally graphed this, we already marked that they had to purchase at least 5 compact cars, but we didn't say that they had to purchase at least 3 full-size cars. We said that they had to purchase at least 0. They just couldn't do a negative 0. So now we're going to need to change our constraint. We're going to change this boundary from x is greater than or equal to 0 to x is greater than or equal to what? That's right. Greater than or equal to 3. Okay? So now we've changed our points. Do you see how we've changed our points? Now, instead of 5, 0, we have 5, 3. And instead of 16, 0, we now have 13, 3. All right? And instead of, let's see, this point I think still stays the same. Let me get rid of this one because that one's no longer working. That one no longer works. So we need to figure out what this one is. 10, 6 is still there. So 5, 9 and 10, 6 stayed the same, but 13, 3 is a new point and 5, 3 is a new point. So we've kind of narrowed down. We've made our range, which is this area, smaller. Used to come all the way down here and go up like that. Now it's moved up some. So we have 4 new points, so we're going to write those down. 2 of them stayed the same. So we have to identify the constraints. Let's see, in order to keep up the competitors, SmartWay must purchase at least 3 full-size. Identify the constraints as a system of linear inequalities. We've already done that. It's the same constraints that we had before. If you remember, we had x plus y is less than or equal to 16. We had, let's see, 9,000x plus 15,000y has to be less than or equal to 180,000. We said x has to be greater than or equal to 5, and our new one was y has to be greater than or equal to 3. Okay? So now that we have that, and we have our new graph, let's go ahead and graph that on our graph using what we know from our graph. From our Desmos graph, we'll copy that onto our new graph. So you go ahead and pause and do that, and I'll do it as well. All right, so now I have gone ahead and graphed our new lines. Really, 3 of them are the same. But you can see that our area, our solution area or our solution set, our region that's shaded is now much smaller. And we now have 4 new points. 2 of them are the same. These 2 have changed. So I'm going to go ahead and write those points over here. Remember, we had this one, which was 5, 0. And we'll just go up to this one, which is, it should have been 5, 8. Now it looks like it's 5, 9. Ah, I know why. See what I did? I made this line right here that I thought was x is greater than or equal to 5, but it was really x is greater than or equal to 7. So this was the wrong line. So I'm going to try to erase that line. Probably erase a lot of other stuff too, but we'll see if I can do it. Yeah, you can see I'm erasing part of the graph as well, but you get the idea, right? And that means that our area really extends from here to here. Whoops. And our points are still 5, 0 here.